Welcome to the Daily Agenda. Beautiful sunny evening here on the autumn equinox. That's right, it's the first day of autumn and it sure does show. Everything's going golden and brown, sunny but chilly here in rural Nottinghamshire, as I'm sure it is everywhere else in the country. So tonight we're going to talk about the threat Elon Musk I think Puss was the operative in actual fact. Elon Musk actually poses to nationalism. But first, today we had about 200 new designs become available in the online store. You can find the links to them through my YouTube channel. Here's an example of the two of the new stickers that are now available. One is the Elm of War with Great Heathen Army written in Elder Thought runes beneath it, which is on the right, and the one on the left is the Irminsul with Odin's Ravens and Great Heathen Army in runes beneath it, Elder Futhark. The one on the left is actually the logo of the Odinist Order. They're available as well. There's a raft of new Make England Great Again merchandise and also Make England Germanic Again using the White Worm. A whole combination of designs in actual fact, some really nice material. So go and check that out and get armed and equipped with your mega merchandise and also the Odinist stuff as well, which is really impressive, you know, particularly when printed. I mean, these stickers you can put onto glass. These are not for putting on lampposts and such like, you know, they're to put on glass. And they look very impressive, both of them. And yeah, the hoodies, t-shirts, tracksuit bottoms, drawstring bags, you name it, baseball caps, there's pretty much everything there in that range. And we'll have more designs coming again soon as well. I can't say exactly when, but hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But and also sometime in the next few days, we should have Shawnee Bellinger from Minnesota joining us again here on the Daily Agenda to talk about pagan spirituality. And that should be very interesting. Shawnee's got a number of things on her plate at this moment in time that she needs to sort out, and then she'll be free to come and do a podcast with us. So I very much look forward to that. And Elon Musk, I think a lot of people have actually underestimated the threat that he poses to nationalism. And the reason why he poses a threat to nationalism, well, it's twofold. Nationalists on X, formerly known as Twitter, it was a lot better when it was Twitter, in my opinion. There's no freedom of expression at all on that ridiculous platform, X. I can tell you that for a fact. Just ask the thousands of nationalists who've been shadow banned, I'm one of them, and also accounts suspended for expressing themselves, you know. Freedom of expression on a platform which he claims is dedicated to free speech. It's nothing of the sort. It's just it's just an echo chamber for Zionism, quite frankly. That's all X is. When it was Twitter, I think the account suspensions were actually far fewer of nationalists, although the centre-right were being banned left, right and centre, which they didn't like, and now they're doing the banning and they love it. This is just as bad. I've always said this, you know. The centre-right are just as bad where it comes to censorship as the far left and the centre-left. Because in truth, the centre-right ideologically, because they are ideologically fluid, are the centre-left. They're not right-wing in any way, shape or form. And don't ever think that waving around a few flags makes someone right-wing. It doesn't at all. Not at all. You know, I think the Labour Party always traditionally embraced the Union flag, didn't it? Does that make them right-wing? There you go, even the Fabians hide behind it. There's quite a few people hide behind it. It's like all the crooks in Christianity. They hide behind that religion because they think being Christian means good person. It doesn't actually. Usually it means bad fucker, hiding behind a completely fake religion, riddled with hypocrisy. That's the reason why it attracts so many bad fuckers. Bad, horrible people, that is, pretending to be something they're not. In a sense, I guess you could say in psychiatry it's called communal narcissism. And in essence, what we have with the centre-right is the personification of communal narcissism. You see, they pretend to be the nice guys in public, just like the left. And with the victims, they've got this perpetual victimhood mentality They are the victims. We've caught them plotting and scheming and inciting violence against nationalists all over the country. Apparently they're the victims. We've not been plotting any acts of violence against them. Well, not yet, anyway. But if they continue in the vein of Glenn Saffer and company, well, that's going to change very rapidly, I can assure you. Because we know perfectly well that the bent coppers can't be trusted, and we're just not going to allow these people to do what they want. No, absolutely not. They'll soon discover that Antifa is the least of their worries. The least of their worries. Okay? And this is another point that I want to concentrate on, is that Musk is actually bankrolling, funding. Well, ostensibly, he's doing it. But actually, it's the Chosenites that are supplying the money. They're bankrolling all of these fake CivNat organisations. They're all centre-left, every single one of them, in Britain and America and all over Europe. Yeah, the tentacles. This is how, you know, they intend to maintain their control over Europe. Elon Musk does not love Britain. He does not love Britishness. The nonsense he spouted at the UTK Jamboree, where they hosted a whole litany of foreign cultures, the diversity delusion, instead of British culture. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find any one of them that could actually tell you anything meaningful about Englishness and English culture. And anyone who can tell you about Englishness and the fact that it's based entirely on ethnicity is a racist. A racist. Like an ethno-nationalist. They're the most vile, horrible people who ever did live on, walked on the face of this earth, and they must be shadow banned and their account suspended on Elon's free speech loving X. Of course, we know it's got nothing to do with free speech. Nothing to do with free speech. Now, there's another concept that I want to introduce you to tonight called the million monks factor. Yes, you might well laugh at it, the million monks factor, but it's actually very important. You see, and the reason why I call it the million monks factor is because there's a million monks. In other words, 1 million very stupid people, mongs, lemmings. So I call it the million monks factor. And the reason why I've arrived at the million monks factor is months of studying their social media apparatus. And what I've noticed that the mean average across all of these channels, because they all have the same mongs, roughly, on all of these channels, i.e. the centre-right, those around Robin Sob and Ben Habib, etc., and Rupert Lowe, and some with Farage as well, but mostly, you know, the other crowd, the other faction of the centre-right mongs. The 1 million mongs factor is all we're dealing with. So when the British National Party was at its height in 2009 and had 1 million voters, it had exactly the same amount of people as the million mongs in the centre-right right now. So anyone in nationalism who thinks that, oh, you know, we can't defeat the centre-right, you're living in a dream world. We definitely can. The polls around Reform UK are all nonsense. They're all exaggerated. The only poll that matters is when we actually come to the ballot itself, which won't be until 2029. And quite likely Reform UK will get flat packed before then for some reason. Or if it does manage to succeed, it will deliver, you know, a crushing disappointment, all by design, because it's not actually there to change anything at all. Not for real. It's just there to change perceptions and maintain the status quo's safety valve operation. That's all fake Farage is. But the million mongs factor is what we're dealing with. Yes and no, I can hear the chuckles of laughter, and I'm struggling to keep a straight face whilst actually talking about it. But the million mongs is all we're dealing with. In a nation of, what is it, 60 million now? It's not an awful lot, is it? A million mongs. And they couldn't even get a million mongs on that UTK march, which the actual estimate now, right across the board, is an agreed figure of around 200,000 people. Not 3 million. No, that happened. First it was 1 million, then it went to 3 million. Well, that's because Tommy had 1 line of cocaine, and then 2 lines of cocaine, and then 3 lines of cocaine, and suddenly, you know, he was tripping. He was hallucinating that he got 3 million mongs there. He didn't. He had 200,000. He got 200,000 there out of the million mongs factor. And the other 800,000 in the million mongs factor are just sat at home because they're the social media creatures. They just sit there vegetating in front of the YouTube and X, etc., and whatever other social media platforms they, you know, psychologically masturbate over. Because that's all it is. It's psychological masturbation. A psyop. quite frankly. That's what the million Mongs factor is all about. Could they actually expand beyond a million Mongs factor? I don't think they could. I don't think they could. There is absolutely no sign, despite all the vast sums of money that are being pumped into this safety valve operation, that it's just not expanding beyond the million Mongs factor. And so we're dealing with a million Mongs factor. But we're behind, because we have no one pumping and promoting us, and nationalists are still fractured. Still fractured. And whilst we have to deal with the likes of Callum Barker, who's variously described as the lying of Epping, who's now wined and dined and fated and hosted on all these centre-right talking head shows, it's become quite clear that Mr. Barker is, well, he's not a nationalist, is he? He's certainly not a homelander, and I very much doubt he's even a hinterlander anymore. I think he's well and truly in bed with the centre-right. And you see, and that's how they operate. Occasionally they capture someone from nationalism, because these Zoomer types, that they're not courageous people, they've got no real backbone worth talking about, and organising a hotel protest, quite frankly, it's all part of the public relations circus. It's not actually achieved a single thing. Not one of these hotel protests across the country have achieved a single thing. Why? Because what is the point in closing down a migrant hotel close to you if it's just going to be moved close to someone else, when the real issue is immigration and remigration? And there's been no success on that front in any way, shape or form in terms of achieving it. The public are very much interested in remigration and stopping immigration. And all the people who say, oh, you know, you'll find very few people want to stop immigration completely. Well, that's not what we're discovering out on the doorsteps canvassing across the country. We're discovering most people, in actual fact, are completely white people. Yes, that's right, white people. Yes, white people. White people are totally in favour of it, the majority of them. Okay, that's what we're discovering. The real issue is to get them together in a concentric hole at any one moment in time and get them out to polling stations to actually vote for a nationalist organisation who can and will deliver it. And that's the whole objective of Elon Musk, is to derail nationalism. Because whilst he said he wants to Britain to remain British, and that he's largely of British background, well, he's doing a great job basically of derailing anything to do with Britishness, and certainly Englishness. Because anyone promoting Britishness, i.e. British ethnicity and English ethnicity, particularly on his X platform, is getting deplatformed. Not really committed to anything remotely resembling nationalism, just the same old controlled opposition run by the Chosenites. So look, we have a guest, a visitor, a squirrel. Oh, quite cute in actual fact. Welcome visitor. Certainly most intelligent than most of the million Mongs in the centre right anyway, which I will say. Never miss an opportunity to trash the enemy, and I don't. And so in essence, that's what we're dealing with, is somebody who is absolutely, totally hell-bent on financing every opponent of nationalism. And can it be stopped? Can it be beaten? Yes, absolutely it can. But the problem is, for nationalists, I don't think enough nationalists actually take it seriously enough. And they're certainly not putting the money where their mouth is in terms of donations, joining nationalist organisations. They're watching channels like this, and that's all they're doing. They're doing the 800,000 factor of the million Mongs. They're just sat there watching YouTube channels and Rumble channels, Odyssey, etc., and doing absolutely nothing other than that. That is not going to expand nationalism in any way, shape or form. It's not going to help us to defeat the centre-right, and it's certainly not going to help us to stop Elon Musk. Okay? So until you actually get active in some way, in some form or another, as a nationalist, if you claim to be a nationalist, if you believe you're a nationalist, then you're actually doing absolutely nothing for nationalism. And if you're just watching, you know, social media channels like this is not actually, you know, doing anything constructive to build the nationalist cause. The only reason why I'm doing this channel is to mobilise enough nationalists to become active again, to actually do something meaningful and productive for nationalism. I'm not doing it for anything else, believe me. I could be doing something totally different if I wanted to, and make 10, 20 times more money out of doing it as well, if that's what motivated me. I could even sell my soul to the centre-right, which will never happen because I despise all of them, quite frankly. And you know the reasons why I despise them, because they're totally fake, they're dishonest, and most of them are criminals. See, Elon Musk has no problem whatsoever funding criminals. We've seen that with Tommy Robinson. And people keep saying, oh, why do you keep calling Tommy Robinson the little Irish junkie? Well, he's of an Irish Fenian background, which he promotes. He's quite proud of it, in actual fact. An enemy of England. Enemy of England. The Fenians are the enemy of the English. Got it? This man is not an English nationalist. He's a puppet of Zion. That's what Tommy Robinson is. And there's also the fact that he has an Irish passport. So he actually regards his nationality to be Irish, not English. So he's just milking it, isn't he? You can just imagine them sat there in the pubs in Southern Ireland saying, oh, look at our wee Tommy, you know. He's having a right old laugh on those fucking English, isn't he, you know? Milking them dry as our little Tommy. In fact, last night we came up with an idea to make a remake, a animated cartoon, in actual fact. I'm just trying to find somebody now who can put this animated cartoon together for me. Maybe we'll have to do it with AI, I don't know. I'm not a cartoonist. But the idea was a remake of Oliver Twist with Ezra Levant as Fagin, obviously, yeah. He really plays into that one, doesn't he, that stereotype. And Tommy Robinson, of course, plays into the other stereotype, the artful dodger. In it, bruv. And what we were thinking was putting it to a totally modern context of how they grift, lie, thieve and snort cocaine. And this is the point that I'm making about Elon Musk. He has no problem at all with rampant criminality behind Tommy Robinson. And I have detailed all of this, and other people have detailed it. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. The reason why is because they're just an organised criminal gang. That's what the centre-right is. It's an organised criminal gang. Hence the reason it's attracted a million monks factor. Well, we don't need or want a million monks factor. I don't want any monks at all, in any way, shape or form, quite frankly. What I want as a nationalist is to get nationalism back into the best possible shape so that we can significantly eclipse the 1 million votes the British National Party got in 2009. That's all I'm interested in. I have no interest whatsoever in recruiting any of Tommy's monks. The million mongs. They're no use to us in any way, shape or form. And if any of our people like Callum Barker slip onto the hinterland and then fall into the centre-right sea, good riddance, just let them drown. We don't need them, don't want them. No use to us whatsoever. I can hear a few people saying, oh, you know, he's done this for nationalism. He doesn't even know what nationalism is. He's currently obsessed with being wined and dined and feted at Somalian restaurants by the likes of Edward Dutton. Ugh, honestly. My goodness. The man who loves knocking the radical right, particularly Jonathan Bowden. Now, there was a lion of England. To call Callum Barker a lion, my goodness, you know, he's a little pussycat. It wouldn't have lasted 90 seconds against Red Action. I keep saying these things because that's my background, that's where I come from. I'm a veteran of those battles with Red Action. You know, so I can spot straight away, just looking at one of these Zoomers, I look at them and I just think, yeah, 60 seconds, 50 seconds, 90 seconds. That's the assessment I do on all of them. And I have to do that assessment because we are living in a very dangerous age. An age in which nationalism is trapped between the jaws of the far left and the centre-right, but in actual fact the centre-right are using far more bellicose and violent language towards nationalists than what the far left are. And it's an odd situation to be in, because really, by rights, considering we're supposed to be on the right, because only nationalism isn't on the right, the so-called centre-right aren't on the right at all, they're ideologically centre-left. They should be with, you know, the far left, really. But because ideologically, there's almost no difference between them, apart from Palestine and Israel. They all stem from the same aim sheet on mass immigration, even largely on transgender issues as well, wokeism. You know, there are only tiny, tiny differences between them, in truth. And so what we have to do is, first of all, to be totally clear and definitive about what nationalism is. And that's what I'm doing on this channel. I'm trying to make it perfectly clear to everyone that nationalism and the centre-right are diametrically opposed opposites. We have nothing in common, really, to be honest with you. The centre-right hide behind some flag shagging. And that's all it is. There's nothing else. There's no substance to it. Just look at all the hotel protests around the country with saying, I love me black mates, innit, Governor Bruv, you know what I mean? Yeah, we love all immigrants, we does, innit? Oh, all immigrants are welcome here in this country. It's just illegals we don't want here, innit, Governor? You know what I mean, bruv? I mean, this is why I use this phrase, the million mongs factor. Because these people are mongs. There's just nothing going on up top at all. They've just been totally and utterly programmed. I've seen slavering beasts, quite frankly, with more intellectual prowess than these million monks, you know? And that's the point I'm making. And one thing I would say, in closing tonight, and we're not going to close on Elon Musk. I've told you exactly what the danger is from Elon Musk and how we have to counter it. We're going to close tonight on Elon Musk because one thing I did note in his interview with Callum Barker was the extent to which he liked to play the middle-class intellectual and tried to make Callum look stupid. I didn't actually feel anything for Callum at all because he's slipped into the centre-right sea, let him drown. But one thing I would say is this: if Ed Dutton ever wants to try and make that mistake with me, then come onto my podcast, or I'll come onto your podcast, and I will absolutely wipe the floor with you in a more devastating fashion than Jonathan Bowden would have done. And there's another important factor, because if Dutton had ever gone up against John Bowden, Bowden would have absolutely wiped the floor with him and dried it. And this is how the centre-right pseudo-intellectuals like to operate. They like to get the little people in nationalism, they pick them off at the fringes, they put them on their shows, give them some fake praise, and then sit there and humiliate them with subtlety. Try fucking doing it with me, sunshine. Any of you. Just try doing it with me, and you won't try doing it with me. No one in the centre-right will try it, and I'll tell you why. Because nearly all of them have got me on the block button. Because they're terrified of discourse and freedom of expression. Ask them a question and bang, it's the block button, because they love free speech so much. Okay? So whenever Elon's ranting about free speech or his little Irish junkie, just give it no credence whatsoever. It's just the million mongs factor, financed by millions of dollars. Okay? The dollars won't run out because the fiat money system is just completely corrupt. But the million mongs will run out, I assure you, in the first wave of that civil war they keep running the mouse off about. And that's another thing. Let's close on that one tonight. Because after UTK, as I said, you would have thought they'd have toned down the Civil War talk, and now suddenly the orders have come in on high to tone down the Civil War talk, and for a week there's been almost no talk at all about Civil War. And yet before that, all of these channels were ranting about the imminency of Civil War. Have they given up the ghost on that one? Or has Elon given them new orders? Maybe Edward Dutton could do some quasi-psycho-analytical work on that one and treat us some more waffle on his channel. I hope you enjoyed tonight's Daily Agenda, and remember, as I said, get stuck into the merchandise and let's get the political arena back from the centre-right. Let's knock the million mongs factor out of action forever, and let's get nationalism back to where it should be, as the centrifugal and only force on the right, fighting for this country and to restore this country and to put it back in a proper working order with a policy of Britain for the British, and of course make England great again, and Scotland and Wales and Ireland. Good night.